Whether you want to set up or make a creative area inside your house, or you want to improve one that you already have, in this video you're going to learn 4 tips to help you make and maintain a in-home creative or maker space. If you are new here, my name is Eli Tennant with MakerBrain, helping you access and implement your creativity. And on this channel, I do like tips and ideas videos, just like this one, as well as tutorials. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Alright, jumping right into this, in your creative or maker space, you are going to need good lighting. Now, this is important, it's easy to scrimp on, but it's not actually very expensive. You don't need fancy lights, you don't need like video lighting either, and a window can be helpful, but you also don't want to be limited to the daytime. You want to be able to make stuff at all hours, especially if you're like a night owl. Now here I actually have 2 primary lights. There's my bedroom light right above me, as well as another cheap thrift store lamp over there bouncing off of the ceiling to provide a secondary layer of light so I don't get as many shadows. And for this video I have a couple other lights on as well, but really I would suggest getting 2 lights kind of overhead from different angles. Now you could also implement a desk lamp, a small thing to like sit right here. You could shine it right on your project. Now my experience with those has been actually fairly mixed. They're good if you're doing really tedious projects where you need a lot of light in one spot, but oftentimes with bigger projects you're actually going to end up creating such harsh shadows that I find it harder to work that way sometimes. Alright, next up you're going to need an effective organization system. Now, this is heavily based on your personality and the amount of space you have available, but I recommend having some quick access tools and little projects that you're working on at the moment. For me, I actually have that right here. There's like some scissors, knives, tape, and a couple little projects I'm working on right there, as well as a little bit of a catch-all bin inside a small little container. It's not very big, it just catches some of those tools that don't really have a home and those little projects that would ordinarily sit around on the workbench. And after that, there is a secondary storage area with just a few shelves stacked on top of each other, and in there I have a container for finished projects or things that are in a long waiting list that I'm gonna get to much later, as well as some of my bigger tools and other implements that I can't keep on my workbench, and that just keeps this a lot cleaner. And just like I said earlier, you still want to have some undedicated space for those random things that need a home. Also, you're going to want an area to store some of your supplies. For me, that's actually kind of right under this desk. It takes up some foot space, but I don't really have any room anywhere else. And you're also going to want to make sure that you have a trash can. I use a 5-gallon bucket, and it's mostly full of cardboard and paper scraps because that's primarily what I work with. Now, the last tip for this organization section is you want to have good cable management. Now, there are all kinds of different cables you might be using, but for me, they're primarily power cables. I got a 3D printer up there, I've got my computer over here, and I have various other tools I bring out, and my hot glue gun. So the cables can really build up fast, and you don't want them to be running all over your desk. So I usually have them run out and in from the back. Now, it's not a perfect solution. It's kind of hard to plug things in, but I have a power strip down there, and I have thought through all the things I'm going to need, and I have plenty of outlets. There's also a small one over there, but it doesn't have a ground, so I can't plug everything into that. So you just want to make sure you have enough space for all your stuff to be stored, and nothing has to live on your workbench, because that can really kill your creativity to have a mess on your workbench. Now, before we get into those last 2 tips, I just want to remind you that at the end of this video, there is going to be a question of the day, so stick around for that. And if you're getting value out of this video, the best way to show that to me is to subscribe and smash that like button or hit it gently. It doesn't really matter to me as long as you click on it. Now, let's just jump back into those tips. Now, this one is not totally a way to set up your creative area. Instead, it's something more important for maintaining your creative area. So this is keeping your area clean. Your makerspace can't be cluttered all the time because clutter kills creativity. So if you just leave right after you're making something, you're gonna have all kinds of stuff strewn all over here. Then when you come back with a burning creative idea, you're gonna have to spend time cleaning this up before you can get to actually what you want to make. And in that time, it's easy to get distracted with all kinds of little tedious things that take you away from that burning idea. So just take a little time to put a few things away, maybe leave your project sitting in a corner, and then you'll have a nice clean area for when you come with your creative idea. This last tip is super important for an in-home makerspace, especially if you don't have a ton of room. So you want to set up your creative area in a suitable location. Now, it has to be a pleasant area. If you don't enjoy being in that like space, then you're not gonna create stuff as much as you might think you would, because you just don't even want to be there. You also don't want to close off too many walkways. I can walk through here, that's kind of cluttered, but then I can also go around this side of my workbench. So if I had restrictions in there, it makes it difficult to get up, and just that little bit of difficulty can make it less attractive to go and get the correct tool to go do something. I have a video where I talk a decent bit about that right here, and you really need to get the right tool for the job when you're working on stuff, so you want to be able to get up easily and go find those. You also want to be secluded from distractions in kind of your own space. I used to be in the basement near the TV, the entertainment center, and a bunch of other stuff, and it could get really distracting. People would come and try and talk to me, and it would break up my flow. So you want to try and seclude yourself as much as you can, unless maybe you're a really social person, and then you have your own space. You can kind of zone in on your project. And if you need ventilation, that's important to remember. I have a window over there I can open if any fumes start going out that I need to get rid of. I tend not to work with that kind of stuff though, and if I do, I can go outside, but ventilation is important to remember. And then, especially for small spaces, think about this. How can you multi-implement items? So right here, I actually have my dresser. This is the back, and I can set stuff on top of it and even use it as like a standing desk area if I want to. And then it's also my dresser on the other side. So that is a dual implementation of that, and that can really save space. Last but certainly not least, you want to think about, if you mess up, what is going to be damaged. So I have carpet underneath me. That's not totally great because it's like hot glue and anything, it can get stuck in it really well, and then you're never getting like hot glue out of your carpet. Also, if I drip paint, that's not good. So it's not the best flooring, but I didn't really have any other choice. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about all the stuff around you and what would be damaged. You can think about fires too. Do you have a fire alarm that could alert you if anything goes wrong in your creative area? Of course. There's much more to creating and optimizing a makerspace than 4 tips. But that's why we have the question of the day. So, question of the day. What is one tip that you have for creating a productive makerspace or creative area? Feel free to share that in the comments below and check out what other people might be saying, because those can also be super valuable. But if you don't feel like commenting anything, then you can totally click on one of these 2 videos right here that kindly showed up for you. And one of them YouTube is suggesting, and the other one is one that I think you could watch and get value out of. And if you haven't already, ring that bell down there once you've subscribed to get notifications. My name's Eli Tennant. This is Maker Brain. See ya.